children and 3 adults were gunned down in yet another school shooting, this time in Nashville, Tennessee. This took place at a Christian grade school in Nashville. The 3 students who were killed were all 9 years old, and the 3 adults ranged in ages 60 to 61. Now, the shooter has been identified as a 28-year-old who was in possession of 2 assault-style rifles and a handgun. Audrey Hale is her name, a Nashville resident, according to 3 law enforcement officials on the matter. Now, here is some sound from Dawn Aaron, who's a spokesperson with the Nashville Police Department. Afterwards, we'll give you more details on what occurred.
Officers entered the first story of the school, began clearing it. They heard shots coming from the 2nd level. They immediately went to the gunfire. When the officers got to the 2nd level, they saw a shooter, a female, who was firing. The officers engaged her. She was fatally shot. We know that she was armed with at least 2 assault-type rifles and a handgun. She entered the school through a side entrance and traversed her way from the 1st floor to the 2nd floor, firing multiple shots. We now know that there are 3 students who were fatally wounded, as well as 3 adults inside the school. We are working to identify those victims.
So the name of the school is the Covenant School. Again, it's a Christian elementary. And just to give you more details on the shooter, Audrey Hale, a 28-year-old woman who lived in the Nashville area and was once a student at the school, was the shooter who carried out the killings before she was killed by police. According to the police chief, she identifies as transgender. Cenk.
Okay, so there's a number of issues here. Let's take them one by one and get to transgender at the end here. So first of all, want to congratulate the cops. They were not afraid to engage in this case, unlike Uvalde, and they got to her before more death and destruction. So unfortunately, 3 kids are dead and 3 staff members who are all above the age of 60. So as usual, horrifically tragic. Unfortunately, as usual, nothing will be done about it. The primary culprit, no matter what the identity of the shooter is always the same thing. It's assault weapons that make it much, 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 much easier. There's no way in the world that woman who did the shooting could have killed 3 kids and 3 60-year-olds and 61-year-olds, etc., with a rope, a knife, a lawnmower. No, it's the assault weapons that lead to far, far greater deaths. It's the most obvious thing in the world. We've proven it with 2,800 different stats every single time. We're the country with the most amount of weapons. We're the country with the most amount of mass shootings, the most amount of gun homicides, the most amount of gun suicides. If you think that's a coincidence, you're math challenged, okay? It's definitely the guns. Definitely. You don't like that because it hurts your feelings because you like the protection of a gun or you like to play around with it or whatever it is. Okay, it hurts your feelings, but it's still a fact. And so that's definitely the #1 issue here. Now, Republicans will try to obfuscate with, no, we need less doors, we need mental health. Oh, we're not gonna fund it. Every time you propose mental health funding, they say no. So Republican politicians are well-known liars. By the way, it is in this case way more the politicians than it is Republican voters, because a giant percentage of Republican voters, over 80% of Republican voters, want universal background checks. That's the bare minimum, right? But Republican politicians go, I don't care, I'm being bribed by gun manufacturers. So I don't care that over 80% of my own voters want universal background checks and they don't want criminals to get guns. I don't care because I'm getting bribed. But by the way, Republican voters, why don't you challenge your own politicians? Try it for a change, see how you like it.
Yeah, let me just also reference, because what you're saying is right. I mean, polling indicates where Americans stand on common sense gun legislation, including Republican voters. But at the same time, you have various state lawmakers. Look, for instance, there was a story we were gonna do today about Florida. We'll probably do it tomorrow. Florida has scrapped the requirements for permits in order to purchase weapons. And they've also decided that they're gonna do away with any type of training regulation or training requirement when obtaining the weapons. I mean, it's just gratuitous and unnecessary. I mean, you could totally be in favor of law-abiding citizens having access to guns while also being against these types of weird deregulatory efforts by Republican lawmakers. I don't understand why they do this, especially given what the polling indicates.
Well, I know why they do it. Number one is the bribes, as we explained. Number two is, unfortunately, even though a majority of Republicans want some common sense gun regulations, the most avid part of the Republican base says, I don't care. I want a tank. I want a rocket-fired missiles. Tim Pool literally said everybody should have nukes.
Okay, great. Well then,
so like when you have the lunatic fringes of either party driving the debate, this is the situation that we wind up in. Because now look, to be fair to the Democrats, they never listen to their base. So that doesn't have anything to do with their base, okay? That's to be fair to the Democrats. The Republicans actually do care about their base. Unfortunately, they serve only the most extreme end of their base. Those two things combined makes any kind of gun regulation nearly impossible in this country, even though the overwhelming majority of Americans want it, right? So look, what's the bare minimum? Universal background checks, over 90% of Americans want it overall. And limiting the amount of bullets in a magazine, super popular, would easily pass if we lived in a democracy. And then assault weapons is a little less, banning assault weapons is a little less popular, but still a great majority, near 60% want them banned. Again, if we lived in a democracy, that would actually also be relatively simple. But none of the gun manufacturers want them banned, and they keep bribing every Republican politician. And if you're a mainstream media reporter and you're not calling it a bribe, you're not really a reporter. Okay, so now back to the identity of the shooter. So lately there's been this weird phenomenon where sometimes the shooters pretend to be trans. This doesn't look like one of those cases, but honestly we have no idea, because it's in the first couple of hours here, and there's always a fog in the midst of this kind of a shooting in the immediate aftermath.
Right,
okay.
The details are still developing, and I think the identity of the shooter in terms of their gender is honestly irrelevant.
Yeah,
unless, I mean, we don't know what the motive is yet, right? So this is a Christian elementary school. This is a former student from the school. I don't know if there was something that happened in the school that, traumatized this shooter and led to what happened. We don't know. But my point is that identity might be relevant, but as far as we know right now, it is not. We don't know anything else.
And look, it depends on what you mean by relevant. So number one, in terms of shootings, no one should do them. I don't care what your identity is. It's a terrible, immoral thing to do, to go shoot kids. There's never any justification for it, okay? So number two, on the identity, if it's a minority, like so sometimes my background is Muslim. I'm atheist now, but I'm identified as Muslim, and my family's Muslim. So whenever there's a Muslim shooter or a Muslim bombing, we get all the heat. We get our rights taken away. We get ostracized. So it's the very worst thing a Muslim can do is to do some sort of violence, right? Because it explodes on all of us, right? It's the most counterproductive, the most ridiculous thing to do, right? And so if it turns out she's trans, she's done great damage to that community. Because you saw Tucker Carlson last week saying the only people who should have their guns taken away are trans people. And now if this turns out that way, the right wing's gonna lose its mind, okay? So don't ever do violence in any category, because it's horribly immoral and totally counterproductive. But that all being said, guys, the reason why any of these people do shootings, Muslim, trans, straight, white, is the bottom line is, yeah, they've got massive personal issues. But it's a country of 330 million people. There's gonna be a certain percent, even if it was just 1% of us, that would be 3.3 million people. And what do we do in America? We hand all of them a giant weapon, a weapon of war, and say, have at it, Hoss. That's the number one problem.
I know I'm not supposed to say this, but I have no hope left, like 0%, okay? We're gonna keep doing these stories, they're gonna keep happening. More children will be murdered day in, day out, endless shootings, whether it's a mass shooting or otherwise, it doesn't matter. There's gun violence all over the place. You have one part of the country or one area of, or one side of the political conversation talking about abolishing police and prisons while we're simultaneously dealing with more and more gun violence every single day, every single year. It's endless. And then on the other opposite end of the political spectrum, you have people who think their guns are more important and easy access to guns are more important than anything else. That's their #1 issue, and they will fight like hell to ensure that they protect what they think are their rights. At the same time, I do want to go to a woman who I think shares a lot of the frustration that we're expressing on the show today, because she and her son were mass shooting survivors. And when Fox was covering this story, this latest mass shooting in Nashville, Tennessee, she decided to use that as an opportunity to speak some truth. So let's watch that.
We survived a mass shooting in July. I have met with over 130 lawmakers. How is this still happening? How are our children still dying, and why are we failing them? Gun violence is the #1 killer of children and teens. It has overtaken cars. Assault weapons are contributing to the border crisis and fentanyl. We are arming cartels with our guns and our loose gun laws. And these shootings and these mass shootings will continue to happen until our lawmakers step up and pass gun safety legislation.
She was visiting Nashville for a family vacation, and this is what they had to deal with.
So we've been talking lately about now double victims and triple victims, and how many mass shootings have you been through? Because this is the insanity of this country. It is not normal, which goes to the point that Anna and this woman are making. The people in power will all lie to you today, and they'll all pretend that they're outraged. None of them are actually outraged. I'll explain why in a second, okay? Because that sounds like, oh wow, really? They seem really moved by it. No, if you're moved by it, you take action, okay? None of them will do anything about it. They will all cover it up, and next time it might be your kids. And they're not gonna care that time either, and they're not gonna do anything then, they're not gonna do anything afterwards, they're not gonna do anything afterwards, and they'll all pretend every time like it's a big surprise. Oh my God, another shooting at a school. What a big surprise, our hearts are broken. No, they're not. So why do I say that? The guys who want the guns, just like Anna said, fight like hell for the guns, right? The people who don't want the guns and who want to protect our kids and everyone else, they don't fight like hell. They don't.
Nope.
Okay, so first of all the Republican politicians are guilty. 100% of them vote to make sure we cannot protect our kids under any goddamn circumstance.
Certainly the ones who are taking massive campaign donations from the NRA. And
show me one Republican politician that says, yes, let's have universal background checks. Yes, let's limit the number of bullets in a magazine, etc. You can't. At the federal level, they're all corrupt. They're 100% corrupt. Republicans, get it through your thick heads. We're better than you on this. You've spotted corruption first, in my opinion, okay? And the right wing was great in going drain the swamp. I hate the swamp. Then what did you do? Then you totally dropped the ball. You let corruption run wild. You never challenge your politicians on corruption. Here I am telling you, Democrats are also corrupt. We're the only ones who ever say it, right? So what do Democrats do? They go, oh, I can't believe this. I'm so outraged. Oh my God, we're gonna fight next time. No, you're not. Shut up, all of you, including guys like Chris Murphy who make a reputation on this. I will tell you what, I am most animated by this. I like going on TV after shootings and pretending that I care. Really? What did you do? Did you ever fight? Did you ever fight anywhere near as hard as the people who want to keep the guns? Nope. Oh, but your beloved colleagues. Politically, rhetorically, you need to attack them. You need to crush them. No, you wouldn't do it. Nope, 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 nope. You care so much more about being polite. And by the way, this goes double for progressives. Progressives, you're supposed to fight. You're supposed to fight. Nope, nothing. I'll put out a tweet.
Okay,
ooh.
So let me give you guys an example of what the right wing did in accomplishing the stripping of reproductive rights from women, okay? So after Roe v. Wade was decided by the Supreme Court in the 1970s, it would take 5 years for a single evangelical leader to speak out against abortion, because it wasn't really about abortion for them. It was about using abortion to accumulate political power. Stay with me, I know this sounds like a really weird tangent, but it'll make sense. Now, Paul Weyrich was the evangelical who really took the leadership role in getting religious people in this country against reproductive rights. And you wanna know how he did it? He would go to church parking lots and just throw pamphlets full of like aborted fetuses and all this like gory imagery to scare people. And also in that case, to misinform people about abortion, okay? And that started changing the hearts and minds of people at these churches all across the country. That tactic worked. Now, there is no successful message. I mean, there's no effort to message to the American people on this issue, right? There's no effort to fight back against the false narratives that we keep hearing from right-wing media over and over again when it comes to guns, how everyone has the right to easy access to guns. No one's fighting back. I mean, really think about it, okay? Imagery of aborted fetuses was enough to convince religious people to be against abortion. We never see what happens to these children when they're gunned down by assault rifles. And to be sure, those are awful images. I don't want to see those images, incredibly difficult to see. But I think by censoring that, it's really sanitizing the reality that we're all living in right now.
100%. They should, Anna, that's such a great point. And the media is 100% complicit in this. They should show every dead kid. They should show every dead victim of every one of these massacres. Because then you know what we'll do? We'll all throw up together and go, God damn it, that's enough. But right now, the Republicans are evil and they say, we don't care. We're not gonna do anything. In fact, if you try to do something, we're gonna make sure we tear it down. So don't tell me you're heartbroken. Don't tell me you care when you are the ones preventing any action on this. Then the Democrats, the corporate Democrats, the establishment, that's like 90% of the Democratic Party. They have no heart, they don't care. They'll never fight for you, never. And progressives, they have no strategy. Hey, is there a single progressive in the country? Legislators out there, we got you elected. Do you have any strategy to fight back on this? Here, I'll help you out. I know that'll greatly offend you. I don't have status, okay? You do something simple like we did. Point out how many Republicans want universal background checks. Then say this son of a bitch colleague of mine is denying 80% of his own voters. And then show a picture of a dead kid and say, the Republicans did this. Vote them out. Vote them out there for massacres of children. Will you see anything like this by any goddamn legislator? No, we elected a bunch of losers that sit around with no strategy, no heart, no fight. So this will happen again and again and again. And next time, yes, it might be your kids or my kids or anyone's kids, because there are no legislators here who actually fight for you and who care about a goddamn thing. So that all you'll get is stupid little lies today about how it's gonna be okay and they're heartbroken. They don't care about us.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.